Hello students, this is a class for BA Part 2 English Literature students. We will be doing Part 2 of this sonnet by William Wordsworth, The World is Too Much with Us. Today we will be trying to explain the poem line by line. I will read to you the first stanza. The world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours, we have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. In these lines, the poet is talking about the worldliness or our materialistic tendencies. When the poet says the world is too much with us, he means to say that we are involved too much in the worldliness, in the materialistic pursuits. How? Late and soon means we are busy working till late in night and getting early in the morning up in order to continue our jobs, our works, getting and spending. And why we are working late till night and getting early in the morning? Because we have started living in a consumeristic world. We are fixed in a web of getting and spending. Getting means we are trying to earn more and more. And why do we involve? Why do we involved in getting too much, earning too much in order to spend? And because we are bound in this web, we lay our powers waste. When the poet says this, he means to say that our spiritual powers, our intellectual powers, the powers that a man has as a man, he wastes them. Why he wastes such powers? Why he is less human? Because little we see in nature that is ours. Little means almost nothing. So it's a negative term. When we say we see little in nature that is ours, means we have stopped observing nature, we have stopped watching nature, which is ours, which God created for us, which God created for us to enjoy, to feel happy, to feel blessed. Nature is a kind of blessing by the Almighty. And by involving ourselves in the worldliness and materialistic pursuits, we have stopped enjoying this natural bliss. We have given our hearts away. The poet says, from nature we have diverted to getting and spending, which the poet calls a sordid boon. Sordid means something dirty, something morally corrupt, and boon means a gift or a blessing, usually by God. So it's a sordid boon. The materialistic pursuits are actually, they may be called boon. It may be a gift. When we earn more, we have the capacity to buy things more. We become wealthy. But by becoming wealthy, for a time being, we may feel that it's a boon, but it is a sordid boon. It makes you morally corrupt. It makes you less human. Now we come to the second stanza, and in this second stanza, the poet gives you a beautiful scenic view of nature, which can be very healing, ennobling, and peace giving. Let us see. This sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this and for everything, we are out of tune. The poet gives you the picture of the sea which bears her bosom to the moon. The sea that opens up her bosom means heart, to the moon. The poet gives you the idea that moon is there in the sky, and you all know that sea, the gravitational force of moon makes the sea ebb and tide, ज्वार भाटा जिसको आप बोलते हैं. The sea that bears her bosom to the moon. Because of the full moon, the sea opens up its heart. The winds that will be howling, howling means making loud noise. The winds that will be howling at all hours, all the time, the winds are high near the ocean area, the sea area. So these winds are upgathered. Upgathered means gathered up, that is to say, in the sky. And therefore, you can say that when the winds are upgathered, that is to say, they have reached to the heights, the earth becomes calm, the seashore becomes calm. So they are upgathered now like sleeping flowers, just as the flowers close their petals in the night time. In the same manner, the winds have also come to a standstill. For this matlab, for this beautiful scene, for this natural scene, and for everything. Everything means everything that you find beautiful in nature, we are out of tune. Out of tune means we are not, you can say, connected to it. Out of tune, you can relate this term with the radio. You must have heard radio. And when we try to connect radio to a station, we tune it. You must have seen the button under which it is written tune. And when you push it, when you move it, it takes you to a station and it starts playing. So we are out of tune means when you are out of tune on a radio, you do not listen anything. But when you set in the tune, you listen beautiful music. So when you are not able to observe the beauty of nature, you are out of tune and you lose that power to enjoy nature's bliss. It moves us not. The poet laments over this phenomena. The poet laments over this idea. He is very unhappy. He is very sad over this idea. He says it moves us not, means it does not affect, it does not touch our heart. Great God. He calls God in a sad mood by saying, by lamenting over this idea, and he says, I would rather be a pagan. Who is a pagan? Pagan is a worshipper of nature who used to believe in idol worship in Greek times. I would rather be a pagan. You all know that Wordsworth was a Christian, and Christians generally do not believe. Christians do not believe in idol worship. वो मूर्ति पूजा में विश्वास नहीं करते. But still, Wordsworth says, I would rather be a pagan. He would prefer to be a pagan. Why? Suckled in a creed, so that he can be brought up, so that he can be grow up, he can be nursed in a creed. Creed means a religion which is now outworn. Outworn means outdated, which is old and no more practiced, obsolete. Why he wants to become a pagan, an idol worshipper? So I might, in the next line he says, so I might, standing on this pleasant lea. Lea means meadows, चारागाह जिसको बोलते हैं, the grassland area. So, standing on this pleasant grassland area, have glimpse that would make me less forlorn. So when he would see nature, when he would be in contact with nature, it would make him less forlorn. That is to say, he would feel himself less lonely in the company of nature. And in the last two lines, he gives you examples, analogy, or you can say, uh, he introduces you to two Greek gods, so that if he stands in these natural scenic beauty areas, he would stand there and he might have sight of Proteus. Proteus is actually a sea god who who is considered to be, you can say, वरुण देवता, जैसे अपन बोलते हैं हमारे हिंदू रिलीजन में, द गॉड ऑफ सी. सो आई माइट हैव साइट ऑफ प्रोटियस राइजिंग फ्रॉम द सी, or hear old Triton. Who is Triton? Triton is a sea god who is believed to have upper body as a human being, and the lower part of him is that of a fish, according to Greek mythology. So, and he is considered to be a god, a sea god who controls the waves in the ocean. So with his wreathed horn is actually the conch shell, that is to say शंख. तो he plays शंख, वो शंख बजाते हैं, and the waves of the sea become calm or agitated according to his blowing. So Proteus and Triton are two Greek mythological gods, and he says that this kind of belief that usually the Greek people would see face to face, one to one with these gods, he says at least he will have an image of these gods, and that will make him less forlorn. So this is the poem, and in this poem the poet wants to make us conscious of the natural beauty which ennobles us, which enriches us, which makes us spiritually rich. And there are no price tag attached on natural beauties, natural providence, which make our life so rich. Thank you. That's all for today. If you have any problem, you can contact me.